Well, it's election season again, and it's time for more candidate conversations. I've got Sharon Trask with me right now. She is running for Mason County Commissioner in District 3, rather. How you doing, Sharon?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm well. Thanks for coming in and talking with me a little bit.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Talk to me a little bit about the position of County Commissioner and why you decided to run for this.
That's a good question. Well, I work for the legislature, and exactly the things that I do at the legislature is what I can bring to the county, and it'll benefit the county. So a lot of constituent casework, working with the constituents, helping them get through well, as you can imagine, there's a lot of departments in the state government. And so knowing who they should contact, how we can help them get through that will also help me here with the county. We also deal with a budget. I would say that's probably the number one thing that we do here, or that I will be doing. And so I've had a lot of experiences with budgets. We've owned a few businesses in the past. I was the one that did all the bookkeeping, kept us on track, made sure the bills were paid. And then watching my boss work the budget at the state capitol has really helped me understand the big picture, the big budget, and how it affects everyone in the state. And so the county budget, I'll be able to do the same thing with that and make sure that everybody is protected, make sure that our first responders can get there, are funded, make sure that all the departments have enough funding that they can make things work.
A lot of times when we have these conversations, people will talk about a good fiscal business or home budget, but I understand that those types of budgets are quite different to how a government budget runs. What are the differences?
Absolutely. Well, for one, there's a lot more numbers. There's a lot more numbers before the final 2 decimal points. And so knowing that, and knowing that you have, it's not just your family, it's not just your kids, your husband. I was the guardian for my father-in-law before he passed away, and so I took care of all of his budget needs. You know, he was a veteran, so going in and making sure that everything was up to the VA standards and the court standards. You know, so but that's still a small portion of what you do at the county. The county, you have a lot more people to answer to.
Yeah.
You have, it's not just your income that you're looking at, it's the income for the whole county, the revenue, and how to best manage that.
To get through the primary, you had to make it through and position District 3 in Mason County as kind of the Shelton area and the surrounding portions of that. How would you, or how are you going to take what you learned and heard from the folks in District 3 and then balance that to everyone else in the rest of the county?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, District 3, the county seat, you have a lot of, I visited with not just the people from the 3rd District, you know, doorbelling and meeting them at events, which was a lot of fun. We have some amazing people in Mason County. But I was also able to visit with department heads and some of their employees as well. And so understanding what the needs are outside of the county is very helpful. And I think that helped me understand a lot more of what Mason County needs, not just the Shelton area.
Let's talk about employment a little bit. What some changes in policies or investments in the county that are necessary to broaden the employment base?
Well, I think that we need to entice more businesses in. We're kind of known as a bedroom community.
Yeah.
People they live here because it's a wonderful place to live, but they have to drive outside the area to work, whether it's Bremerton or, you know, someplace in Kitsap County or someplace in Thurston County, even Grays Harbor. So what we need to do is maybe change our image and encourage businesses to come in. I like to say to cut the red tape and roll out the red carpet.
There you go. Okay. What part of county government would receive more attention if you were elected?
I would say working with every department. I see kind of a lack of communication. It's essential that we communicate with every department, not just focus on 1 or 2, but make sure that every department is heard and recognized, because we can't function without one department. And so we shouldn't put preference over that department or another department.
When it comes to infrastructure or capital projects, where in the county do you see the biggest needs for work to be done?
That's a good question, too. I would say there's a lot of places in the county that need a lot of work. And you said capital projects. One of the things that I do also for the legislature is we help with capital budget projects. So people will request a project like the road down here in Shelton. Well, some people call it a mess. Eventually, it'll be really good. But that was a capital budget request, and so the state is helping Shelton with that project. There are some in Allen. There are some traffic lights that are new there. You'll see them as you drive in. If you're speeding, it'll say, slow down, you're speeding. But if you're going the right speed, it'll say, thank you. So I guess the town has started calling them polite lights because they do thank you for going slow. But those are projects that we need throughout the county.
When it comes to the budget, again, we have seen over the years, some would consider dramatic cuts across the board. Are there any departments in county government that should be protected from cuts?
Oh, I think we all need to work together. I've been going to the citizen budget advisory meetings. They have them every 2 weeks, or they've had them every 2 weeks. I think they have one meeting left, and it's been very educational for me. I understand more about what each department does, how much they need, and how many people they've been cut. It's concerning. They've had to cut back on some services because they've lost their employees. So I think that that's something that we need to look at. It's not, like I said, we shouldn't hold one department higher than another. We're all equal. We're all a team. We can't function without each other.
One of the proposals by one of the current commissioners is to move to a 2-year budget process, and the state does that, and so I know then you would be somewhat familiar with that. Do you think that's a good idea moving forward and helpful to kind of get a better understanding of where the money is coming and going?
I think it's a great idea. Just seeing how the state works it. You have 2 years. You can plan for those 2 years. Every department knows that they've got 2 years to work with. You can, of course, we also have the short sessions where we come back and do a supplemental budget. And so if the need is there, we can always tweak it. But I think a 2-year budget is very good, a very good a goal. I think we should also work for maybe a 5 and 10-year plan. It's hard to function without a plan. And so I think that that's a good way to go.
Tell me about a time that you mentored or coached somebody.
Well, yesterday I met with, so this is very fresh, and I love doing this. This is one of my passions. I met with a young lady, and she has a colorful past, and she was feeling like she couldn't do anything. Where do I go? My past is stopping me from doing things. It's not. If you have the drive, if you have the passion to do something, you can achieve it. And so we were talking about what her next steps could be. She's going to open up a business, and it's going to be exciting. And so she's working towards that. So I'm helping her and mentoring her as well. I'm also a member of the Turning Point board, and so being able to work with those employees and help them and encourage them along their way. When I working with the legislature, I've also, they call you a mentor, which is fancy word for training. And so I've been a mentor for probably 5 years now, training new LAs as they come in, and I've been there for 7.5 years. And so helping them understand, because it's a big job, but to know who to contact, how to schedule, make sure that they know that they're the gatekeeper, and they have a lot of training, or they need a lot of training in that.
What are some of the values or, I guess, positions that you would take as you look through the decisions that you have to make when you would sit up there at the county commissioner's desk?
I like facts. I like to see the numbers. And so if you don't have the numbers right in front of you, or if let's say hearsay is not a good way to make a decision. And I was a paralegal. You can't You can't write a brief. You can't go before the judge on hearsay that it doesn't fly. And so that's I'm a firm believer in numbers, honesty, and communication.
Would you be more of a hands-on in the department's county commissioner, or would you leave it to the elected or even just the department heads to be able to manage their own departments?
Well, they were hired for or elected for a reason, because people think that they could do a great job. I would love to be a part, or to be aware. My plan is to meet with them, the department heads and the employees, about once a month if I can, just so that we can see how they're doing. I'm not going to tell them how to micromanage. I'm not a micromanager. But just knowing that they're doing what they can for the county, I think that they'll do a good job.
Take the last minute or two, look into the camera, talk to the voters, and tell them why they should pick you this November.
Well, I'm Sharon Trask. I know that I can bring my skills, my experience. My past has prepared me for this position. So I know that I can do a very good job. I can be the commissioner that you guys need.
Sharon Trask is running for Mason County Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.